Gladiator 2 versus Smile 2, the ultimate movie showdown. Two sequels, two completely different worlds. One question, which will dominate? On one side, Gladiator 2 bringing back the epic battles of Rome. On the other, Smile 2 ready to haunt your nightmares. One promises bloodshed in the arena, the other psychological terror you can't escape. Which one will leave the bigger mark? Two of the biggest sequels of 24 are about to go head-to-head, but could they be any more different? On one side, we have Gladiator 2, the long-awaited return to Ridley Scott's brutal and majestic Rome, filled with vengeance, war, and political intrigue. On the other, Smile 2, a psychological horror sequel ready to haunt audiences with terrifying smiles and paranoia-inducing scares. One is about legendary warriors fighting for honor. The other is about an unstoppable, mind-bending curse. One promises bloodshed in the arena, the other, sleepless nights. So the question is, which one will dominate? Will history lovers and action fans make Gladiator 2 a box office juggernaut? Or will Smile 2 prove that horror's grip on audiences is stronger than ever? Let's break it all down and see which film comes out on top. Hollywood is rolling out two of the most talked about sequels of the year, and the pressure is sky high. Gladiator 2 has to follow one of the most beloved epics of all time. Ridley Scott's Gladiator, a film that won 5 Oscars and left audiences in awe. After over 20 years, Scott is back to prove that historical dramas can still dominate the big screen. Meanwhile, Smile 2 is riding the success of a horror film, that turned a simple, creepy grin into nightmare fuel. Parker Finn shocked audiences with Smile, turning a low-budget horror flick into a box office giant, grossing over $217 million. Now, he's back to prove that Smile wasn't just a lucky scare. Both films are stepping into the ring with massive expectations. One carries the legacy of an Oscar-winning classic. The other has to outdo a horror movie that became a viral sensation. Let's see who delivers. With two of the biggest sequels of 2024 on the horizon, Gladiator 2 and Smile 2 are set to battle for audience attention. But here's the catch, they couldn't be more different. One is bringing back the glory and brutality of ancient Rome, while the other is creeping into the darkest corners of the human mind with psychological terror. Both films have massive expectations to meet, but only one will dominate. Let's start with Gladiator 2. Over 20 years after Ridley Scott's Oscar-winning epic, we're finally returning to the Colosseum. The original Gladiator was a game changer, winning 5 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, and cementing itself as one of the greatest historical dramas ever made. This time, the story shifts to Lucius, the nephew of Commodus, as he finds himself caught in the ruthless politics and brutal combat of Rome, with Paul Mescal leading the charge and legends like Denzel Washington and Pedro Pascal joining the fray. The stakes are as high as the anticipation. But can Gladiator 2 live up to the legacy of its predecessor, or is it doomed to be a sequel that never should have happened? On the other side, Smile 2 is lurking in the shadows, waiting to terrify audiences once again. The first Smile became a viral sensation, turning an eerie, unsettling grin into a symbol of pure horror. Made on a modest budget, it pulled in over $217 million, proving that audiences love a good psychological scare. Now, director Parker Finn is back, and the challenge is clear. Can Smile 2 expand on the disturbing premise without losing what made the first one so terrifying? Horror sequels can be tricky. Some franchises build on their success, The Conjuring, A Nightmare on Elm Street, while others spiral into forgettable territory. So, what makes this showdown interesting? One is about survival in a blood-soaked arena. the other about surviving your own mind. Gladiator 2 is for those who crave epic storytelling, grand visuals, and intense action. Smile 2 is for those who love the creeping dread of horror that lingers long after the credits roll. Both films are entering the ring with huge expectations. The question is, will audiences crave battle and honor, or will fear and paranoia take the win? Ridley Scott's return to Gladiator is one of the biggest selling points of Gladiator 2. The original film was a cinematic masterpiece, winning 5 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, and setting the gold standard for historical epics. With Scott returning to expand this world, expectations are sky high. His ability to craft breathtaking, large-scale narratives filled with intense battles and political intrigue is undeniable, making this sequel one of the most highly anticipated releases of the year. Adding to the excitement is the fresh but incredibly talented cast. Paul Mescal, an actor on the rise, takes on the lead role, stepping into a story that is deeply connected to the legacy of the first film. With industry powerhouses like Denzel Washington and Pedro Pascal also on board, Gladiator 2 isn't just banking on nostalgia, it's building something new while respecting what came before. However, one of the biggest risks for this film is whether it can live up to the original. Sequels to beloved classics always carry the danger of falling flat, and if Gladiator 2 doesn't deliver the same emotional weight, unforgettable action, and gripping storytelling, it could face tough criticism from fans who see the original as untouchable. On the other hand, Smile 2 enters the competition with a completely different kind of pressure. Horror has been dominating the box office in recent years, with psychological horror particularly thriving. The first Smile was a massive success, turning a relatively small budget film into a box office juggernaut, grossing over $217 million. Its clever marketing campaign, viral word-of-mouth hype, and unsettling imagery made it one of the most memorable horror releases in recent years. Now, Smile 2 has the advantage of an already built-in audience, with fans eager to see how the story continues. However, horror sequels are known for being unpredictable. Some successfully expand on their predecessors, like The Conjuring 2, while others fail to recapture the magic, becoming forgettable cash grabs. If Smile 2 simply repeats the first film's formula without adding anything new, it runs the risk of feeling like a cheap sequel rather than a worthy continuation. The challenge will be in pushing the horror even further, keeping audiences genuinely unsettled rather than just relying on jump scares. The real question is, which of these two films will leave the bigger impact on audiences? Historical epics appeal to fans of grand, large-scale storytelling and visually stunning action sequences. If Gladiator 2 successfully recaptures the spirit of the first film while telling a compelling new story, it could be one of the biggest box office hits of the year. Meanwhile, horror audiences are some of the most dedicated moviegoers, and Smile 2 has the potential to thrive if it delivers the kind of unsettling experience that made the first film so successful. If it manages to evolve the story while maintaining its signature psychological dread, it could once again take over the horror scene. With both films carrying massive expectations, it all comes down to whether audiences are in the mood for an epic battle for honor or a terrifying descent into madness. When it comes to box office potential, Gladiator 2 has Ridley Scott's legacy and an audience that loves historical epics. But let's be honest, historical dramas are a gamble. If it delivers jaw-dropping battles and powerful storytelling, it could be massive. If not, well, people will just rewatch the original. On the other hand, Smile 2 has the horror genre on its side. Horror doesn't need a massive budget, just the right amount of suspense and psychological torment. Plus, Gen Z loves a good scare, and if it goes viral again, it could explode at the box office. At the end of the day, both films have something to prove. One has to live up to an Oscar-winning classic, while the other has to show it wasn't just a one-hit horror wonder. Expectations are high, and now it's just a matter of which film delivers the bigger punch, whether through brutal combat or spine-chilling fear. I'll be honest, when I heard Gladiator 2 was happening, my first thought was, wait, how? The original wrapped up in such a definitive way that a sequel felt risky. But then I saw the cast, Paul Mescal, Pedro Pascal, and Denzel Washington. Okay, now I'm listening. Ridley Scott returning is exciting, but can it really match the impact of the first film? That's the real question. Then there's Smile 2. Horror sequels are unpredictable. Sometimes they're better. The Conjuring 2, sometimes they should never have happened. Blair Witch. But Smile had this unsettling, slow burn creepiness that stuck with people. If the sequel pushes the psychological horror even further, it could be a terrifying hit. Either way, both movies have my attention, and I can't wait to see which one surprises us more. Both Gladiator 2 and Smile 2 are set to take over theaters, but they're targeting completely different audiences. If you love epic storytelling, intense battles, and historical drama, Gladiator 2 is the one to watch. But if psychological horror, spine-chilling suspense, and lingering nightmares are more your style, Smile 2 will have you hooked. The real battle isn't just at the box office. It's about which film delivers on its promises. One aims for grandeur and spectacle, the other for pure terror. No matter which one dominates, one thing is certain: both will leave a lasting impact when they hit the big screen. Here's the real question: are you ready for battle, or are you bracing for fear? If you crave swords, honor, and epic storytelling, Gladiator 2 is your battlefield. But if you prefer mind-twisting horror that lingers long after the credits roll, Smile 2 is waiting to haunt you. Choose wisely. Once you're in, there's no turning back. Drop your pick in the comments and let's settle this. And if you're the kind of person who never shies away from a cinematic showdown, stick around. Hit subscribe, not because I said so, but because movies deserve real conversations. This is Plot Story Reviews. See you in the arena or in your nightmares.